Great, thank you, Jesse. And I will start the meeting with pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. And begin with opportunity for privilege of the floor, and Frank Proto, you are on the list.
First, is this the time?
Right there is great. At the mic there, yeah, but picking you up great.
I just wanted to, I was here last month regarding the lack of an emergency services plan. And since I have not had a call from any one of you about my offer to help out along with others in the community that are willing to help, I wanted to find out what the status was. What's going on with your preparing an emergency services?
Great, okay. Okay, thank you, Frank. Michelle, did you want to offer some thoughts about that? We talked about it today.
Yeah, and also I think Jonathan and I have talked about it a
Great.
little bit. So we would like to start working on that. I first, for myself, I want to finish the plan for the buildings.
I'm sorry, I can't.
I'm sorry. We do plan to start working on a plan. But first, I'd like to finish the one I'm working on for the buildings. I have a few more things people to talk to and to wrap it up and just type it up. And then I thought we could move on to one for the town. And I know
operations.
And just, where to set up a center of operations and who should be involved and who would like to be involved. And I know Jonathan said he was interested, right?
Well, mainly I'm interested, I have not yet, I wanna read over the document that Don started when he was a town supervisor, so that I can just at least see the history of what's already been thought about. But I haven't done that yet.
Right, so anyway, it's on our agenda and it's, I think we'll probably be starting it in earnest, in a couple of months.
In a couple of months?
Yes.
May I ask a question?
One question, and then I don't want it to just be a back and forth because it is privilege of the floor, so.
Okay.
Are you planning to form any sort of, are you gonna ask any of us for help, or are you gonna do it in-house, or is it too soon to know?
I expect that we would reach out to people in the fire departments at least, and our ideas are kind of unformed.
Yeah, I would say we'll discuss it as a board and
Yeah.
that
We don't have
figure out
a
a
firm idea yet.
process.
Okay. I'll keep, this is not a question. I will keep checking in with you.
That's
to find
great.
out what the status is, because it's a needed item. Thank you.
I know, I believe we recognize it's a needed item and it's on our agenda to work on.
And thank you for your offer.
Yeah.
Too, so.
And we may take you up on it.
But
Who knows?
thanks.
Great, thank you. So with that, I guess what I would like to do now, I guess we have the resolution to authorize the grant application for the wildlife crossing on Thomas Road. And we have a couple people here for that. So I'm thinking maybe we could do that first and then move on to the reports. Is that okay with everyone? Great, okay. So with that, I will introduce the resolution as written. So authorization of grant application to the Department of Transportation for a wildlife crossing on Thomas Road. We discussed this last time. So whereas wildlife crossings pilot program of the US DOT aims to reduce wildlife fatalities, improve wildlife habitat connectivity, and whereas the bipartisan infrastructure law of 21 provided 350 million in funding for this program, and whereas Thomas Road is renowned for spring migration of amphibians, especially spotted, and correction here, add salamanders, especially spotted salamanders, from the forested hillsides to the wetlands that results in significant wildlife road mortality. And whereas, and I have some edits, as I will state to this, whereas Dr. Leanne Kanda of Ithaca College, Fernando de Aragon with the Ithaca Tompkins County Transportation Council, Dr. Brandon Hedrick of Cornell University, and Cornell graduate student Stephen Breeden have offered to develop and submit an application for a wildlife crossing pilot program grant for wildlife crossings on Thomas Road with an August 1, 2025 submission deadline. And whereas the grant requires a 20% local cost share with sources to be identified and solicited at the time of grant submission, and whereas the proposed project would involve modification of a town road, therefore be it resolved, the Caroline Town Board hereby endorses and authorizes the preparation and submission of a grant application to the US DOT through the Federal Highway Administration by this working group. That's the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, so it's open for discussion. So I guess, I think the resolution described, sort of the basics of what it would be. So, I thought now Leanne Kanda is on the meeting, by Zoom. So I guess I was gonna open it up to her and Fernando is here also. So maybe I'll open it up to Leanne and then Fernando for any additional information, and then we could have a board discussion and go from there. So Leanne, welcome, and feel free to provide
Yes.
any additional comments.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me all right?
Very well, yeah.
Excellent. I'm happy to open video as well if it's released, or we can just do it by audio, as folks like. So indeed, this is a lovely opportunity of quite a large pot of money available through the there we go. There's quite a large pot of money available through this program that is specifically for wildlife crossings. And I understand that one of the major points that could use clarification is the 20% cost share. It is not our intention to ask the town of Caroline to be providing that 20% cost share. We would only be attempting this submission if we had a solid budgetary plan of sources to patchwork putting together, covering those costs, such that the town of Caroline's contribution would be hopefully limited to such things as donating some time for administration of the grant, and possibly some involvement in like in kind on construction if we have the equipment and expertise to do some of the physical work in a more cost-effective manner. And these would obviously be things to work out. So in terms of where those cost share monies may come from, this is part of the reason why we're bringing this to you now, to give us a year to try and pull things together. We do, to start, know that we have donation of the land that is flanking both uphill and downhill of Thomas Road at the point where we would propose putting the crossing. And land acquisition to make wildlife crossings more effective is explicitly included in this grant as something that monies could be put to. So we know that that land will be donated, and so its value can contribute to the cost share for the total package budget. We've talked with Finger Lakes Land Trust, and they are interested in partnering with us to be participant on this grant and involved in ultimately stewardship of that surrounding land. And they're thinking about trying to even build, getting additional parcels of land to build it into an even larger preserve. So, so that is sort of the first foundational chunk that we know of for our cost share. If the town of Caroline would be interested in moving forward with this, because of course, fundamentally the grant has to be submitted and administered by the town. That's, you know, how these things work. That if the town was interested in moving forward, then the working group will proceed with looking to solicit funding from granting agencies, you know, conservation NGOs, local foundations, figuring out what kind of either monetary fundraising or in-kind contribution might be able to come through our partnership with Finger Lakes Land Trust. And um, also, frankly, just doing some crowdsourcing. We have a model that we can work off of. There's a similar amphibian crossing that was built in 2016 in Vermont. And those folks have been very kind in sharing all of the details and are willing to work with us to show what they did, where they got their monies, etc. And they raised an astonishing amount of money with a GoFundMe campaign. So given the increasing popularity and public support for the Thomas Road amphibians, I think that we're in a pretty strong position between these different kinds of sources to be able to pull together that 20% cost share without impinging any large cost to the town itself.
Great.
I'm sorry, please.
Yeah, I just said great, thank you. Yeah, that's.
Can I ask a question, Leanne? You mentioned one crossing. Are you planning to apply for one crossing? Earlier, we had heard up to 3.
Yeah, so I was generalizing within this space. We would probably be looking at doing 2 crossings. 3 biologically would be ideal for the length for the stretch of road. It's about 150 yards. Or sorry. My brain's having to go back and forth. I believe it's 150 meters that we have where we can guarantee that we have control of the land on both sides. And given how often spacings should be to make sure that amphibians actually move to and use these tunnels instead of just sort of wandering and hitting fences in between them. 3 would be ideal, but of course, each one is quite expensive. So we would need to work out the budget for, is it realistic to try and ask for 3? Can we come up with sufficient cost sharing to cover doing 3? Or should we sort of take what we can get and plan for doing 2? But yes, I'm sorry, I was talking about doing crossing as sort of a general concept. And practically speaking, we would be looking at 2 physical tunnels underneath the road.
Thanks.
Yep. Great. I guess, and would you like to add anything, Fernando?
No, that was a pretty complete summary. We've had experience with this grants before, and there's a fair amount of flexibility in common together. The local share, and of course, we're doing this with plenty of time, so
What's that? Yeah.
we're doing this with plenty of time, so hopefully we'll be able to
Yeah.
structure the project, get good cost estimates, and this will come before you, obviously.
Mhm.
Are you-
It's a bit,
Are you looking at other amphibian crossings in the area?
no,
This is it,
well, it's the only one I know about.
okay.
You're the expert on this.
Go ahead, Leanne. Yeah.
So there's
It'd be, yeah, this is the one that we're considering.
And there's probably a reason for that, that Leanne's gonna tell us about. Go ahead, Leanne.
Yeah, there's several reasons why this specific spot is why we would choose it. And the first is biological. This is one of the heaviest amphibian migration spots in the county. You know, there've been a number of us working along Thomas and Ellis Hollow Road specifically for the last number of years. And the reason for that is because that's where the animals are crossing the roads. There definitely are animals moving across roads in other spots, but this is the highest density, and so therefore the space of greatest concern. That is now coupled with this opportunity to turn the surrounding land into a preserve, just sort of makes it a perfect conglomeration of we could preserve the land and create connectivity to make them not have to cross the road, but go under the road to be able to move in this particular area. And it is a locally high profile project.
Great, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks for presenting this and offering this as an opportunity for us. So you mentioned Vermont. Would this be one of the first in the Finger Lakes or in this region? And if so, it seems to me like having it be a place where people can look to it as an example is an added benefit to the town beyond just the amphibians. The human piece of it seems like a great opportunity to get people to come and enjoy and appreciate the area.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So there are not a large number of amphibian crossings in the US. There are more in Europe. It's been a little bit more popular to actually try and accommodate human infrastructure to wildlife there. And so really, while there certainly are a number of wildlife culverts specifically for amphibians across the country, in essence, they're two, you know, that people know about. The one is the Henry Street crossing in Amherst, Massachusetts, which was uh, built back in the 80s. It's still there. It the effectiveness of those the Henry Street crossing has been studied. In fact, my colleague Dr. Kiedrich is one of the people who did the study on the continuing effectiveness of the Henry Street crossing, and it's me. So it's a very famous crossing, but it's not the most effective anymore. But that means that we've learned so much in the meanwhile. So the 2016 one built in Vermont is pretty much the only other major amphibian crossing, certainly in the eastern side of the United States. And they have used some more modern designs, thinking about how large these tunnels have to be, what kind of substrate needs to be in there, what kind of light and precipitation needs to get into them. And they've been reporting very high success in having amphibians divert and move through these tunnels successfully in both directions. So it is going to be a rare kind of thing, and it absolutely is going to be something that can pique public interest, could even draw people into the area, let alone specifically to Thomas Road, for that night. And this is something that I would like to incorporate in our design plans, is thinking about human safety. If people are being drawn to these places, because I've been out there year after year doing volunteer work. They move at night in the rain, so it's dark, it's rainy. You've got the whole point is that we're moving them because there are cars coming by, and that's not a really safe place for a lot of humans to be out gawking. And so I'm envisioning even having like a specific sort of sidewalk along that stretch of the road where people would be able to safely come and walk along the side of the road and stand above the tunnels and be able to look down and see the salamanders coming through the tunnels, something like that. So I do think that there's a great public outreach opportunity here. And then also, in the coordination between the colleges, that there's also a lot of public outreach that can be done through that sort of higher education kind of setting. And we would be including in the grant package another aspect that the DOT explicitly says that they will pay for, is including monitoring, right? Doing some amount of research to see, okay, you've put this thing in, did it work? So that also is going to be bringing people educational opportunities around this.
I have another question.
Jonathan?
Just thinking about the design, having, is Robert, right? We haven't met yet. Here in the audience, the DPW director, manager. Question came up for me is in the design, making sure that we consider the ongoing maintenance of that location. I know they work really hard cleaning our roadside drainage ditches, and so that's important as well, for sure. Just making sure that gets on the agenda.
Yes, very, very much so. And one of the things that's really lovely about the Vermont road crossing, like physical design, the tunnels themselves are prefabricated, like fully encased, and then they're perfectly smoothly underneath the road. And what the Moncton, Vermont site did for giving light and precipitation access to the tunnels was essentially they're like manhole covers that are just grates. So it is a relatively low impact when you think about the road surface and the maintenance and snowplow and things like that on that side. And there already is a major ditch on one side of the road on Thomas there, and it would just be a little bit of additional drainage maintenance on the other side of the road. So we would absolutely be involving your folks in the discussions the entire way on making sure that all the designs are something that can be easily incorporated into regular maintenance.
Great. Leanne, I was just, the land you were talking about that on each side of the road, are you, is the vision for that those would be public spaces? Like would they be accessible by the public or not? Or,
They will go under stewardship either of the Finger Lake Lands Trust, or there is also a relatively new foundation in the area called the Wetlands Trust.
mhm,
And we'll work with those two groups. It will become, one of those trusts preserves, and to what degree that is publicly accessible. It's kind of most of that land, particularly the downhill side that goes into the wetlands. It's not really like someplace that
not
any
walkable,
walk.
yeah,
Uh, but like I said, they'd been interested in preserving this area previously and had not been able to get the land pieces, and the landowners at the time to cooperate into to um, donating or selling uh, to uh, to build a preserve. But with this as sort of the core that they know that they can have, they're now saying, well, maybe we'd be able to expand and be able to preserve a larger percentage of that wetland that runs between Thomas and Ellis Hollow Road. And in which case there may be some of the further south part of that wetlands that is a little bit more amenable to being a direct public access. But that would become entirely the provenance of the trust to decide how much public access is in conservation interest.
mhm, okay.
And of course, the southern part, the farther southern part of that is in the town of Dryden anyway.
So actually going south is remaining in Caroline. It's if we got more land further north that would be in Dryden.
Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
You meant the other south.
The other
right?
side, yeah.
And I don't believe that there's any sort of eligible wetland property further north into Dryden that is being considered at this time.
Okay,
I think this is fantastic because it's a really great opportunity. Uh, in just a lot of different ways, but it makes my ecologist heart happy, really, that we can do something about that, about these animals trying to cross the roads on the wet, warm nights. So I'm not seeing any problem with voting yes on this.
I guess Bob's here tonight, so I guess, do you have any thoughts about it, Bob?
Yeah, a little bit, so. I've heard about any of this until tonight, so, just in what I've heard raising, there's a few concerns. I heard sidewalks. That alone raises some concerns as far as design, and I think, as far as me or what we can do to the road, I think there's definitely gotta be some meetings. Before we really settle on anything, but, definitely as far as construction. Or any kind of plan, development or anything like that, I think we definitely gotta have a few more meetings.
Oh, yes, that's what, I think Leanne said that very clearly. So I don't know, and I was gonna ask you how, I thought when I looked at the Moncton project, it looked like that project was contracted out. And so I don't know what town forces might be able to do or not do, but just
I know about where it's at, I don't exactly know where the crossing, is proposed to go, but, I mean, there got to be kind of a site visit just to make sure.
yeah,
That pipe that's put in for crossing doesn't turn into a glorified sluice pipe. If that's the case, then it's kind of pointless, so. I think there's definitely a few more meetings that we need to
Great,
make happen first.
great. Leanne?
So, to that point of like the design and making sure that things would be engineered properly, uh, engineering design again is something that is explicitly covered in the grant. And so, really for August of next year, we would just need to have a pretty good idea that yes, this is feasible, and then if we got the grant, then would pay for a full-on engineering design. I don't know what the road equivalent is of the architect's, plans
Right.
of that level of detail.
Okay,
But that absolutely is part of what we can get paid for to make sure that we do it absolutely right.
okay. Thank you. And oh, go ahead, Jonathan.
Not to belabor this, but I think it's important. I haven't looked at the grant. I'm wondering if there's some money in there for ongoing maintenance of the site, or is it once it's with a Finger Lakes Land Trust, are they required to maintain? I think that would be something to work out, because I mean, you make a good point. I mean, if it adds the cost in that particular area, it probably wouldn't be much, but if it did, labor or machinery, just something to consider. Like if you have to unclog something every year, if you have to plow it a different way every year, if you have to maintain it in some different way, because it is a structure, so it's gonna impact the maintenance in some way. It seems to me that would be smart to include that in the budget, but I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that there's no onboard maintenance,
Required.
well, included in the grant.
Oh,
The grant will cover that. They're providing for the infrastructure. And in this particular project, they're also providing for analysis. So again, studying the impact. The smart design and this will, we're not gonna, but anyways, we're not taking any steps that, where there is an agreement, but the smart design hopefully will minimize maintenance requirements. That's why the project in Vermont, they utilize pretty conventional manhole covers, and they didn't want to have any instructions affecting plowing and whatnot, so.
I'll be able to briefly just add,
Sure.
my name is Stephen Braden,
Hi, Stephen.
I'm studying salmon mortality on that road in Cornell as part of the master's. And when we talked with Jim Andrews from the Mountain Project, it was designed so that these structures that funnel the amphibians, often that can cause trouble with them breaking down. You might know the structure on Ringwood Road that is actually an amphibian underpass that was designed poorly or designed to be the current knowledge in the early 2000s and has since fallen into disrepair. In Moncton, they use a different design in which the wings are made of concrete, which make them should last 70, 80, 100 years, and not get in the way of snow plowing and things like that.
okay. So you just told us that there's a older one on Ringwood Road, right?
Yes, so they modified a culvert into an underpass, and crucially, culverts are too small for amphibians to actually cross underneath. They don't view it as an adequate crossing point, and there's been a huge amount of research in the last 20 years that has elucidated exactly how underpasses can most effectively funnel these animals and allow them to cross under these roads.
Okay,
And in Ringwood, they followed an earlier design that did not use those, well, they didn't have those 20 years of research. So they just modified a culvert instead of putting in an entire new crossing.
Right.
So that is the main reason why
Mhm.
it's no longer functioning.
Interesting.
And you said they, who's they? Then modified it.
That's a great point. This was done, it's on the Cornell Botanical Gardens land, Ringwood Park. So I'm not certain who provided the funding for that.
But it's up in the Cornell area. Okay.
Mhm.
Which is a lot of area, but.
Yes.
I know,
Just south of Monivea.
I know a Professor Craig Adler, does he
Oh, yeah.
have anything to do with it? I know he studies amphibians, and he wrote a whole article about how they have to go back and forth a couple of times, and
Yes, I can't recall the name, but it was created in the early 2000s and it certainly could have been this professor.
I mean,
who's involved.
he talked about that area, I think, the Ringwood area. The thing I read, but. You know,
I guess just for mine, I mean, how big of a crossing pipe are we talking?
Leanne could probably, or Fernando or Stephen could probably tell us.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Bob was wondering how big the culvert is, and yeah, so.
So to be effective, it should be a meter wide, right? So about a yard wide, and probably almost as tall. There is already structured in at that area of Thomas Road. There is currently a culvert that goes across there. That's just one of the standard round pipes. And obviously, engineering wise, we'll have to design to allow that to continue to act for its purpose of moving water, but I've never seen a salamander use it. So yeah, basically a meter by a meter.
Even though the salamanders are small animals, they need some elbow room to feel like they can go through or something.
They need some elbow room and there also needs to be openings above the tunnel that allow natural moisture to enter.
Mhm.
Otherwise, to them, it's just a dark
Don't go there.
hole that's not actually,
it's scary.
yeah,
Right.
that's not conducive to their movement.
Great.
Oh. So when the, they need the moisture, so it's like a humidity thing that they would need, probably they can feel with their skin, right? So
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So it's a humidity thing and it's active moisture on the road. You don't want it to be, a current of
Mhm.
moving water, otherwise they won't be able to move through effectively. But you do need to allow natural precipitation to filter down and keep the bottom of that.
Right, well, they like to move when it's raining, right?
Yeah, they only move when it's raining. Because they dry out if it's not.
Right.
I dry out when it's not raining.
Me too.
Great. All right.
It's exciting.
I think it's really exciting.
Any other questions for? And so just, I put this, not to be presumptuous, but I put this in the resolution that you all would be working up the grant, and all the particulars, and you're the experts and would be doing that. That's correct, right?
Yes. Our plan is that we would spearhead putting this together, trying to acquire the partnerships and cost share pledges, etc. And that fundamentally in the grant submission, what we would need is administrative support for, actually taking those pieces and making sure that they're in the correct governmental form and submitted where it has to be submitted by a governmental municipality to the government on their government website. But yes, we will totally do all of the legwork, and of course, before we hit that submission deadline, would share the intended grant wording with the town board again.
Great.
Can I say
Great,
something?
Michelle?
I mean, I think it would be great for Bob to be able to look at what's proposed, just to give us an idea what maintenance might be going
So
going
I'm already
forward.
thinking, we have the paperwork from the Vermont one, drawings and designs, that's good. Get an idea what the stuff we're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Sept too.
The one thing that comes to me is, I mean, I don't think there's a pipe that big there now. So just the one thing that comes to me, that's gonna be the biggest pipe on that section of road, so. Definitely as far as an engineering standpoint, we're gonna turn this into the biggest cross culvert on that road in that section, so.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, I definitely need some more meetings, there's probably a million questions I have, so.
Great.
Yes.
Instead of that.
Leanne is nodding in agreement. Go ahead. Yeah.
We wanted to get the town politically on board of, yes, if we put together the work of trying to come up with some nitty-gritty, that it'll go somewhere. And so, if we have the town's blessing with this resolution, then absolutely we will be starting up and doing meetings, do site visit and talk with you, Rob, about what's really feasible here and what is going to be long-term a sensible maintenance to try and push for. So we would be absolutely delighted to work with you.
Great. Great. Okay, thank you. Are we ready to vote on this resolution? Any other discussion? Tim, are you okay?
I mean, as you all know, my reservation was the cost share because we have major capital projects hanging over us in the very, very near future. But this sounds like a good plan. I would anticipate that if you all have problems raising the cost share, that some of this will be contingent on that.
That is correct. We wouldn't try and submit it if we were looking at having to submit something where we're putting, the town of Caroline on the hook for 18%. Like,
Great.
that's not reasonable.
Great, okay. Thanks so much. So with that, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great, that's unanimous. And so I want to thank you all for coming and speaking with us tonight. That was really helpful. And glad Bob was here to offer perspective. So we've got a incipient working group going here, so. Great.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
thanks for the proposal, so. Alrighty, so with that, I'll move on to, my brief supervisor's report. On the 6th of this month, we did get the 239 review from the county on the subdivision review law, and they determined no countywide or intercommunity impacts they could see from the proposed law. They did offer, they ran it by both the planning department and the Division of Environmental Health, and provided 7 edits. I made those edits today and shared them with you. I did consult with Nan Stolzenberg about it, and she thought they were all reasonable changes, so.
They seem fine to me. I mean, I read them.
Great.
And I'll just add that they're basically just elaborations on reporting procedures, so there's nothing substantial about them.
Right, sure. Yeah. And then I did remember back in my email before I took off on my little jaunt across the country, that there are, so the maintenance folks for the streetlights checked on two streetlight arm assemblies. One that Bob had noticed on Valley Road at Burns Road, and another one right down here that everyone's probably noticed at 2771. Those fixtures are all flat on the ground and have been damaged, so those are non-routine maintenance items. And so NIFA, the maintenance folks have provided us quotes of about $1,500 each for replacement of the arms, the luminaries, and the fixtures. So so I did want to let you know that, and
So before you go too much farther on those, for your information, as far as those poles and the lights being broke, I'm not sure what this one was. What caused this one up here to break? The one on Valley Road was hit by a garbage truck.
huh,
That is, you can go back, get a report and turn that into their insurance.
at the sheriff's office or something,
No.
or,
Turn it into their automotive insurance, which will cover
okay,
any damage to
So
property or anything.
you turn it into Casella? Is
You would have
Casella,
to turn it to our insurance company, would have to go after themselves or whoever, whatever the truck that
okay,
would be.
great, thank you. I'll check on the process with the insurance company, I guess. It was Casella was the company?
I don't.
I don't know, I think they, aren't they the only ones around, or is there?
No,
another?
there's a handful of them.
There's- Oh, Doug's, okay. So I know there's-
Yeah, there's dogs, there's dependable, there's 4 or 5 different ones,
Hmm.
so.
We wouldn't, oh, you'd have to figure out the route, I guess. How would you figure out which one did it?
Well, there's an accident report somewhere.
Okay, that'll do it, that's easy,
Okay, great.
okay.
Can't have too much paperwork.
Use it while you got it.
Great, thanks, Bob.
If it saves us $3,000 or $1,500.
We'll see what they say, yeah.
Yeah.
How
I mean,
far up the
somebody-
road is the pole?
I mean, the poles are clearly within the town's right away. So. I mean, that's a county right away there, it's not. county
Yeah.
road.
I'm just wondering how they managed to hit the pole, you just couldn't see it in the darkness or something.
But if there's any accident anywhere, normally I'll get handed a copy of the report for damage to culvert pipes or. You know,
Yeah,
pipe inverter or anything like that, so.
okay.
So what's the entity that would get it, if you're getting stuff from damage, shouldn't we get, we own the light, right? Why didn't we get a report? If there is one,
I mean, normally I have to always be there to get a copy of it, they'll say, oh, you want a copy of this? I mean, most of them I'm at, or try to be at, so. That one I wasn't, so.
But you're talking about, it was a report to the sheriff's office or something like that,
I
right?
mean, it knocked power out for the whole town of Brookendale, so there's a report.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Or did I say-
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so who would have the report?
The sheriff's department or the state police,
okay.
so.
Yeah, I remember we lost power and it wasn't windy or anything.
but you're saying the insurance company should do that research. It's not-
Be covered under property.
Maybe one of those recent.
Banks Road. Oh, well, never mind.
Anyway, I just remember we lost power for, I don't know how long, and then my neighbor said, oh yeah, that pole got knocked over on.
Great,
I mean, the one on Valley Road has been down for. I mean, months at this point, so.
Yeah. it was
And it's
before
probably
this
gonna be a
one.
little bit harder to go back and clean it.
Yeah.
Now than. But in the future.
We could try.
Is that,
You could try still.
oh yeah, there's, like you say, there's gotta be a report there somewhere, so. Okay, that's my report. Move on to the town clerk.
Okay, so I'll just run down the August revenues. Sold 12 hunting licenses, 37 dog renewals, 9 building permits, and 1 marriage transcript. Total revenues for August was $1,758. Local share was $930.15. And that was submitted to the supervisor on September 3rd. And then I also just wanted to mention that I've been working with Brian the last couple weeks updating the town building permit applications and working on creating some other applications for subdivisions and that's in the process now. And
Great.
that's it.
Thank you, that's great. Any questions for Jesse? Paula? Great, thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks.
Highway Superintendent.
All right, I guess you got kind of a laundry list. I was gonna bring one up kind of towards the end, but I actually would like to bring this one up first. As most everybody knows, we started White Church Road, a couple of weeks ago. Big FDR process, we ground 11 inches of the road, added some stone. So it's been ongoing. On 9/12, it was last Thursday afternoon. I sent two of the guys down to clean a guardrail and clean out some visibility issues on the corner of Ridgeway and Coddington Road. I also had them clean off the guardrail. That's right there. You couldn't see the guardrail. It was buried in goldenrod, some scrub brush, which resulted in a dispute with a homeowner, which kind of could have taken a turn for the worse. I mean, it was bad enough. There were some words exchanged, which ultimately resulted in the landowner coming off his porch with a gun.
Oh my God.
Which turned into a highway employee actually running to the neighbors. So
Like away from the situation or towards.
to get away from.
Oh, yeah.
I ended up going down, I talked to the landowner, I did call the sheriff's department.
In reverse order? You talked to the
Well, I
landlord?
talked to the landowner first,
Oh,
and then talked to the sheriff's department. So, just kind of want to bring it to everybody's attention. It made Facebook, it made, you name it, I mean, every social media thing out there, so,
it's out there.
it's been out there since Thursday,
I
so.
haven't seen it.
Good.
What was the basis of the dispute? They didn't want you clearing away the goldenrod or what?
They didn't want us cleaning around the rail because they were afraid some of that goldenrod would kill the fish in the pond.
Was what?
It's crazy,
There's a pond right adjacent to
There's a
the
pond
rail.
adjacent, which is right parallel with that section of guardrail, so.
Is it like a private pond or?
It's a land, it's a homeowner.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so he didn't want you putting any goldenrod in this pond.
In fear it would kill his fish. It got blown
Yep.
way farther than it needed to,
Wow.
but I just wanna bring it to everyone's attention. I mean, this is the stuff that we are dealing with, you know, on a daily basis, so. I mean, nobody wants their stuff destroyed or anything. We're not out there to destroy anybody's property or, you know, landscaping or anything, but it is our responsibility to clean out guardrails, culvert pipes, ditches, trim trees. I mean, it's all part of it, so.
Did you reach an understanding with the property owner about what to do and how
I
to?
mean, I thought
Good
we
question.
came to one, but I wasn't gonna leave the situation with just a talk between me and a landowner when there was, you know, a gun brought out,
Right,
so. That ultimately that gun was confiscated,
Okay,
so
is that the extent of what the sheriff's office did?
that was the extent of that. So there was supposed to be some further stuff, and maybe there will be further stuff that's outside of me or my knowledge, so.
so if
You
the gun
feel-
was confiscated, he's gonna try to get the gun back, I would think, but there's some
I mean, that's his.
judicial situation.
I mean, doesn't,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna know that information, he can try to get whatever he wants back, but,
Okay,
So there are any charges brought against him or not? No?
there's other things that would have had to been done, and it's not that we wanted that, but we just wanted just a conversation between law enforcement, this homeowner, so that there is no more further problems. I'm assured that there will be no more problems, so
You're sure there will be no more?
I would assure that there would be no more problems.
You're sure.
By this person.
By the homeowners through the sheriff's department.
No,
Oh, okay.
that's great. That's,
Okay.
Which is all we wanted, but
Question, so you mentioned that's a daily issue where you're engaging with the public. Not to this degree necessarily,
yeah.
but it seems to me that if there isn't, I like to think systematically so that we could try to reduce this in the future. Is there or at least prepare ourselves, is there any kind of process that the town has for this kind of situation? So you're laying this on us. We might have, I'm new, we might have heard this before. Have we ever come up with a process by which we make sure we cover ourselves in such situations? And that the public works is prepared for future engagements with the public in this regard?
I have never.
So that we don't, yeah, so we don't let this, I mean, I just feel like if we say, okay, thank you for letting us know, and then we go about our business. And it happens again, and we don't take responsibility for making sure we cross all our Ts and dot all our Is.
Well, can I ask a question, Bob? Has this happened before? Is this-
Not to this extent. I've never had a highway employee actually fear for his safety.
Okay,
I mean, he was pretty rad, so.
yeah, poor guy.
Would it help? So like on the, I know you have on your website, like where you're gonna be working,
Mhm.
can that go out on the town listserv?
I
Like
mean,
heads up,
Or
highway
no.
department's gonna. be working.
we put the big stuff on there,
Yeah,
but we couldn't possibly put every little thing.
no,
on
I
there.
know, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
I mean, some stuff is fill-in stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, that day we got done grinding, it was, hey, we've got, an hour and a half left today, so grab this, and this, and go down there and clean
Yeah.
this up. So there was no time to put any of that on there.
Yeah,
Everything is, within the right of way, it's not over the right of way. And honestly, I mean, that's everyday stuff. Never would have thought that would have turned into that problem, but that's the only reason, I am bringing that up, so if something does happen again, I brought it up once, I do have a copy of the report. That I have on file in my office, so if anything's to happen again, we'll have that, so.
I just wonder if you should, maybe calling the sheriff, maybe it should have been the first step rather than engaging with the landowner at all. but-
you must have felt comfortable. Did you know this person or something?
No, I mean, I've never met him before, but
But you were okay talking with him?
I mean, at that point, somebody had to.
Yeah.
Can I just,
somebody had to do something.
Tim?
yeah, could I just recommend that if this happens again, that the town policy would be to call the sheriff first, talk later, because you just don't know what situation you might walk into if you go to try to solve it personally. So I would recommend not approaching the person until the sheriff is there, the troopers are there to assist you, just for your own protection.
I mean, I think your safety and that of the crew is the most important thing, so.
Yes.
So we don't want any, people are crazy. I'm just-
The worker that ran probably had the right, the right
You know?
perspective to get the heck out of there. I agree, Tim, I think that's important,
So maybe talk to the crew and just tell them that that's what we said, whether you are gonna do it or not is different, but
Which
maybe tell them
they will
that,
call me before they
okay,
call
but then you,
anybody. So,
call the sheriff before you start, because you don't know what people are gonna do with their, or even by accident, they could, fingers slips off them.
oh, man.
Then there's a paper trail in advance
Okay.
that covers you, Bobby, as well as the town.
so, like I said, so as far as now, I believe this issue is all resolved, there's no hard feelings, there's no,
Really, I think there should be hard feelings.
But again, I mean, depending on what we're doing, I mean, there are days that we make people in town mad. I mean, every day of the winter, we're making somebody mad, so. They don't intend to, it just happens, I guess, so. We're all fine, the employees have no, there's no hard feelings there. Landowner's fine, again, we're assured we'll have any problems, in the future, so. But just wanted it on record.
So you think that they'll feel okay going on that street again?
We were there today. I was there, actually all day today, so.
So they didn't get a chance to finish.
Yeah, well, we did get that finished. Sheriff said he would stay while we finished. We pretty much already had it finished by, by then, so. But we were out there finishing up that White Church Road project today, so. Everything was fine, no issues. So,
Great.
I'll kind of move on to the more business end of some things.
Thanks for letting us know about this, Bobby.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm sorry you have to.
I
live with
had
it.
no idea it happened.
Yeah.
I didn't see no such.
So as far as some big projects that we had going on, White Turtle was the big one. Bring everybody up to speed again. We did a process called FDR, which grinds 11 inches, up to 11 inches of the road. We put 4 inches of stone on top of that, and we ground it. It adds emulsion to it, and it actually rebuilds the base of the road. White Church Road, we had core samples done last spring, and there was no base, so that's why the road was just falling apart. We actually oil and stoned it today. Next week, we will actually spray it with another layer of oil over top of that stone, which will completely seal everything in, and then the last part of that project will be some center lines.
Great.
The other part of that big project was Baylor Road and Baylor Road Extension. Baylor Road has been a problem for years. The top half is blacktop, go to the middle of the road, it's back to dirt, on the bottom is back to blacktop, which ultimately created the need for 3 different plow trucks to hit Baylor Road. So we've now solved that problem. It will be 1 truck from the bottom of Baylor Road to the top of Baylor.
Does that include Baylor Extension?
Baylor Extension is actually that same truck.
Okay.
So, we did do Baylor Extension, built the base up, and we actually oil and stone that today too. So those projects are done. The only kind of major projects that we actually have left is, there's gonna be a little bit of paving here and there. No whole roads to say, but weather permitting, we did have some roads set aside to have center lines put in, but we had to complete the rest of these projects so that we could get all the lines sprayed at once. So the roads remaining to do, center line is Buffalo Road, White Church, our section of Thomas, Level Green, and Landon Road. So those, again, weather permitting, and hopefully everything doesn't get completely covered in leaves. But we will get center lines on those. That kind of covers our projects. As far as, normally I don't really have to come to this meeting and say we had any kind of major breakdowns. And I haven't had to in years, I don't think, so, but here it is. We had a major breakdown. Truck 350, which used to be the newest truck until our recent purchase of the 2 Western Stars a couple of years ago. So that is a 2010. I'm sure, I know Mark knows, but years ago, this, I hate to use this word, but this has been a lemon from day one. Years ago, we were $46,000 deep in motor repairs on it. We were working in Baylor Road, and the motor completely, I don't know if it's come apart. But it is a repair shop in Genoa, and we did get word back today that the motor did come apart. To what level, we're not really sure yet. There's a couple things that are bad, so we've got to try to fix those first in order to get kind of the reading on if the whole thing is junk or not. So
The motor came apart?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what does that mean? What
Yes.
part of the, is
Made a
it,
whole bunch of smoke that it is not supposed to make.
So
Yeah.
did it drop?
To drop out?
is it the head,
Cylinder?
the head comes off or something, or?
No, I'll kind of start over. It's,
Okay, sorry.
again, it smokes where it's not supposed to smoke.
Yeah,
Right,
If you let that thing run, you couldn't see the whole town of Slaterville. The
Right.
smoke's that bad.
yeah,
So something came apart. I know for a fact the EGR cooler came apart, which took something else apart, which took this other part out, which ultimately
or about.
got the motor hot, so we don't really know if.
Okay.
Something
the motor
seized up.
itself is-
Yeah.
It's junk. It's not seized up at the moment, but I don't. It's pumping water into cylinders where it's not supposed to right now. So
yeah,
Right,
that's what
okay.
they
we
call
gotta get
it.
that part fixed. The bad part of that, in talking with the repair shop today, we're looking at approximately $8,000 to know whether this thing is complete junk or not.
Hmm.
If the motor is complete junk, we're looking at approximately $30,000. And when I say 30,000, I say that I would rather not fix this thing for $30,000. If I put this truck on the auction tomorrow, I would not even get remotely close to $30,000, even after I put a brand new.
Probably get $1.
Maybe. No, these are not a truck that anybody wants, everybody's got rid of them. I think the county is down to maybe 2, and they would love to get rid of the 2 that they have, so.
Can we get that for 8,000?
Can you get one?
One of the counties, I'm joking, it was a
Can
joke.
you get one of theirs for $8,000?
Yes,
Probably could, but that same 30,000 is about to fix ours, we're gonna spend on gallons,
oh, okay,
so.
This is no way.
same problem.
It's, yeah. Those motors were just junk from the beginning, they've always been junk, and we've dealt with this thing since 2010. I mean, I got a stack of bills here that go back to, that truck was 4 years old. And it had $20,000 worth of motor left on a 4-year-old truck. So back then, we were in it so deep, we didn't have a choice, we couldn't get rid of the thing. We do have a truck ordered
Right,
that is supposed to be here. I mean, I hope by the end of the year, but they're not guaranteeing me it's gonna be by the end of the year. So until we kind of get some word back on how bad this motor actually is, some things are kind of left in limbo. I mean, this is a frontline plow truck, so this truck has a 3.5-hour route that it's supposed to plow here in a matter of months, so. And I don't have a solid date on when that truck is gonna come in. The truck that we did order is not to replace this truck. Again, I said this truck is a 2010. That replacement truck that was ordered is to replace a 1999 Sterling. So that is currently still in use and is also falling apart, so.
but not making smoke. The 99,
The 99 makes smoke,
it does make, but
but it's got 200,000 miles on, 12,000 hours on it. I mean, we had 2 of those. We did retire one with the last truck. But again, we had 2 of them. We still have one. So that was the truck that was supposed to be replaced. So with saying, what problems we have with this 2010, even if we fix it, there's no guarantees on how long it's gonna last. It could last 2 years. It could last a year. We're not gonna get a warranty when this thing leaves the garage, so.
right.
Um,
Are you? I don't think you said this, but you might have, but are you suggesting that you might switch out the replacement to make the replacement of the new truck be the 2010 instead of the
if I
99?
do that, we're still kind of in the same boat. That 99 is gonna need. I mean, right now, today, that truck needs about $7,500 in brake work. That's just today, so again, I can't keep oil in that truck. Every line on that thing is rotten, so we would have to go through that truck and spend anywhere from $10,000 to who knows, $20,000 by the time we go through the whole truck just to make that truck.
Bobby,
Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand if there's any alternative here, even if, let's say hypothetically, you asked to buy an additional truck. That's now going to take what, 2.5 to 3 years to happen? So we probably need to repair the trucks anyway, right?
I mean, yeah, that schedule is starting to come down a little bit. But yeah, there is still that delay. But I guess knowing that delay, and knowing the problems we have with this, I think there probably ought to be some conversation about getting something ordered for the future. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Tim, we really are gonna have to fix this unless I can find, you know, something used that will kind of take place of that truck for the next, you know, say 3 years or whatever.
Right, okay, yeah, that's the question.
I've looked for some used stuff. I don't wanna buy something that's just as big of a piece of junk as the one we have, so. I mean, if we find something used that's usable, we're probably looking, you know, significantly more money than that $30,000.
So can I ask another question? I mean, given the clear criticality of this, is there a way to prioritize the truck over the mower that you're requesting to get? You hear what I'm trying to figure out?
Yeah, the big thing with the mower, I mean, that was kind of my next thing to talk about, which has its own issues, but I mean, ultimately, I'm hoping that when we spend this this $8,000 to get the new EGR cooler on it, get the water where it's not blowing into the motor, and hopefully things are good enough that truck comes out for $8,000 and we can
And you can
use
use
it
it for a
until
while.
we get something, you know, to replace it in a couple of years, so, I mean, we got my fingers crossed for that, so.
But we have to do that no matter what, right?
We've got to spend that no matter what, because
Right.
we don't know,
And how long will that take?
I mean, I'm sure it's gonna take him a little bit of time, but we will get it back, you know, within a few weeks.
Okay,
If those parts actually completely fixed it, so. It is gonna kind of bring some other stuff, I mean, we pumped antifreeze into you know, into the exhaust, which goes into this whole thing, so we may have to put another, you know, converter on it. And the exhaust filter. But hopefully it's that $8,000 makes this thing so it's usable, we'll use it for the winter.
okay,
We can kind of park the thing for the summer, you know, so that we're not,
be careful with it.
we'll use it sparingly if we can. And then kind of go from there. You know, as far as replacing.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll know something here in the next week or so as to where we're at on that, and I can kind of update everybody on that. Moving on to the mower, we kind of, you know, put the mower in with this discussion, but, we bought a mower. When I first started, we bought a used mower from the county. The reason for buying that is we were still using, a John Deere 301 with a sickle bar. So to kind of take some chopped off fingers out of it, we got a mower with 2 rotary mowers on it. We bought that from the county for $17,000. Again, it was used, they replaced theirs. So we've had this thing for 5 years. And it's wore out. I mean, it was wore out when the county got rid of it, but it's completely worn out. We're gonna spend, we just got through our last mowing with it, and at this point, it's costing us about $500 every time we take it out. So the actual roll inside the sidearm mower it's completely bent. It's the mower itself is junk. The tractor itself it's high out, that's why the county got rid of it, but we bought it just to kind of fill in for a short period of time, knowing that we would need a mower replacement, so. Over the summer, I've looked at about 1 million different tractors, 1 million different mowers, and finally, settled on the one that I had forwarded to everybody. That mower is almost a carbon copy of what we've had in the past. The color kind of changes a little bit, the name changes. We've always had Challenger tractors. This is the Massey Ferguson, which is an agricultural tractor, which also makes Challenger tractors. It's set up identical inside, it's no more, it's no less. But that one that I sent you is, like I said, it's a carbon copy of what we've had, and what we've had since 2007, so. We could get something a lot more frills and everything else on it, but it's a mowing tractor, but we do at minimum 3 rounds. At 140 miles per round, so. We're not moving very fast, so I got one guy in that tractor also, so. It was on the replacement list for this year. I actually tried replacing it last year, just couldn't make it all happen, so. The tractors are available, there is no wait time on the tractor itself, there is a wait time on the mowing equipment, so. The good part about that is by the time all the mowing equipment shows up, would put us closer to next year's mowing season, so then any warranty would start once all that equipment's put on. So it's not like we're buying a tractor, we're gonna stick it in the garage for the next 6 months and lose 6 months worth of warranty, so. But if it's something we want, we do have to get our name on a tractor. It is on state bid through Sourcewell, and it's through Stevenson Equipment, which we use Stevenson Equipment. We use them all the time, but we used them for the previous mowing tractor that we had and that we still have. So on that bid, you'll see, just to kind of clarify a few things. Pull up here on my phone. It shows you a bid for, or it shows you a contract price for the tractor, and it shows you a contract price for the mowing equipment. The way this is done, it's kind of through 2 companies. It's the same way we buy 10-wheelers. We buy the actual cabin chassis from one place, and another place outfits it with all the plow equipment, salters, sanders, all of that. These tractors are done the same way. And it's, we're using 2 companies, but Stevenson's would be the main person on that, so. Again, the mower both mowers are identical to what we have, it's no bigger. And the ones that we've had, been good tractors, we haven't really put, $1 million into them, they seem to, stay together, and they've been pretty dependable, so. There was no sense in kind of changing that up, and I mean, we looked at top of the line stuff. But I thought this was way more bang for our buck to get this, like I said, it's not stripped down by any means, but it doesn't have a million things in it that we just.
It's what you need.
Don't need. This is the bottom line, this is what we need, and
Yeah.
again, this is for the tractor with the side flail and the rear flail on it. It's strictly a mowing tractor, it's not the side mounted boom mower that we mow brush with. This is to replace the one that we bought from the county,
Oh,
so.
and you still have the brush mower too, right?
We still have the brush mower.
Yeah. Okay, Jonathan.
Question, does the previous mower that this is replacing have air conditioning?
Yes and no. It has it for a short period of time. And then it's gone, and then we'll send it out, get it fixed again. I mean, I didn't write the hours down before I left, but it's a well-used tractor, so every time we turn around, it's just falling apart. And then the county gets rid of it, and
Yeah.
it's well used.
And the new one has air conditioning?
The new one has air conditioning. I
Okay.
mean, we can't stick one of the town employees in that tractor.
No.
And have them mow roadsides at 3 miles an hour for 10 hours a day.
So I want to make sure when you said bells and whistles that wasn't one of the things you took out.
Yes, so
It
no,
needs to be in there.
this is a cab tractor with the air conditioner.
Yep.
Again, it's, it's got a cabin air filter, we can, but that's about as fancy as it gets. It does have some turn signals and a radio, so.
Tim has a question or a comment, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think forward a little bit. So my recollection is there's ample room in the equipment budget for this calendar year to do this. What I'm trying to remember is how much we have in the highway reserve. I'm thinking about the truck that's about to come in. And just trying to get an overall picture of what's coming down the pike in the next 12 months. If you hear my question.
Yeah, I'm looking stuff up here, Tim.
I mean, my recollection is we should be okay, but I just want to make sure.
Well, I mean, I actually looked, so the equipment line today is at 110,771.
And how much was this combined with the mower and the tractor? I just don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry.
141,000, is that
There
right?
should be more than that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that 110's not a.
Oh, I took that off.
We've taken one thing out of that this year. That's it. So, and that would be the payment.
I don't have my ledger here, but.
So that would be the payment for the 10-wheeler from or the last 10-wheeler that we bought. That payment is the only thing that come out of that new equipment.
The 50,000 payment. Okay. That'd make it 150, but. Um, So the equipment line does have some money in it. This will pretty much deplete that line for 2024. And
So I guess to talk a little bit about that, Tim, to my knowledge, I think we have one payment left on that truck.
one more Velvet said.
One, yeah, so there's one more payment left on the truck that we actually,
That's good news.
did that lease, purchase on.
Right.
I mean, I think everybody knows my opinion, as far as kind of that incoming truck, but I think that leasing it has it's made things a lot easier as far as kind of planning equipment. Just because it takes that huge number out of the equation. And we're able to replace a couple pieces, if need be. So, I mean, moving forward, when that new truck shows up, I personally would like to see us do it the same way that we just did it in the past.
Personally would like to see the installment payment. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, if we were, looking in some reserve money, I mean, it would be great to pay off that last payment and go into this new truck, with just having that one payment on there. And then, like I said, I mean, we're gonna have to have some, discussions maybe in the near future about getting something in order to replace this 2010 in the next couple of years. So, and again, hopefully, with that, we can maybe have this truck that's coming in paid off by the time, the next one shows up, but it's making it so that we're not trying to pay that crazy $300,000 number,
Yeah,
here they come in, so.
you might be right. I just want to look at the numbers and see what it looks like.
So one thing I did forget to mention as far as the mowing tractor, auction prices have been great. No, I wouldn't sell this tractor to anybody locally in town, but I would put it on the municipal auction. And I'm betting that we will almost get the same money that we paid for.
Really? But, so, I mean, but I guess my question would be, I mean, is it usable?
I mean, it's usable.
I thought you said something was bent, so that,
It is, but if somebody wants to buy it, they can do whatever they want. They can take that mower off and just use it as a tractor to get logs out of it or whatever. But for us, it's at this huge rebuild stage, which doesn't make sense because we only paid $17,000 for the tractor. So I don't want to go. I mean, you have a quote there. Again, if I pull it up on my phone, I believe it's $75,000 for new mowers. So doesn't really make any sense to put $75,000 into a $17,000 tractor. So we'll just sell the one we have, we'll roll that money back onto that purchase price, which will take it from the 140 down to 120. And that tractor should be fine for years. I mean, like I said, we're still on that boom tractor from 2007. So boom tractor doesn't get as much use as the roadside mowing tractor. This year, you know, like I said, we always mow 3 times, but this year we've already mowed 4 and in some spots 5 times. So grass this year was insane. So and again, that's 140 miles every time we do it. So I guess if that makes that replacement number of, to make that 140 number look better, realistically, we're paying 120, just to kind of put that out. We did have a sale of the old 1-ton and an old single axle that we had up back that we took out of service shy of a year and a half ago. We kind of kept around to spare, but every time we went to use it, it was broke. So Mike's had a field day with some wiring. So we unloaded that, and we unloaded the old 1-ton that was replaced this spring. So with that, I give Mark a check for $36,000. So that I kind of go into that revenue line. The one number I didn't write down is during that White Church Road process, we replaced 15, 16 road crossing pipes. So all those pipes went to Weissman's. And I gave you those checks for that. I didn't write that number down before I came off, but
Those were steel.
A lot of them are old. I mean, there's no bottoms in them. They were invested in some changes. So everything's been updated to plastic pipes. Everything has been upsized. So any place that had a 15-inch pipe now has an 18-inch pipe. And so on, kind of up through that list. And then next year we'll do that last little section of White Church. But we do have some pipes to replace in that section before we do that. So, but there was a few $1,000s that kind of came back in some scrap money. So.
Too bad we can't in the future then scrap the plastic and make money off the plastic.
Yeah, plastic, we're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
But hopefully those ones that we replaced that, hopefully in my lifetime, we won't be replacing those. They should, you know, last forever unless for some reason they're washed out.
Well, you heard what happened in North Carolina with a 5 inches per hour rain. It's coming, it's gonna come.
I mean, if we have those, then Ithaca will probably have our plastic pipes.
Hit the go up or
Probably have to
plastic.
do something different. But,
Yes, cross that road literally when we come to it.
so once we kind of get done with these remaining road projects that we have, we will kind of get back onto the additions on the highway barn. The weather got good, kind of had to put everything on hold so that we can caught up on those.
But you're done with that one building, right?
It's up and it's dried in. The insulation is sitting there.
Oh,
And the inside tin is sitting there. We got some electrical stuff to do. Other than that, it won't take us much to actually get it up and running. So before winter, everything will be moved in there, everything will be fully functional. So,
I see.
but we will start seeing you'll start seeing a little bit here and there come in. Like I said, we gotta put some lights and some other stuff in, so we'll start seeing a few bills for that, but other than that, that building will be up and running before snow.
So that's really good to know. So just so we don't lose track of the conversation that we're having. I mean, I'm comfortable with replacing the mower. We do have 2, if not 3 board members who weren't with us the last time we discussed financing. So we're gonna have to take a little bit of time to review that and discuss various options, you know, when it comes to time to consider payment for that truck, because we need to bring everybody up to snuff about what the various options are.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move forward on this. It sounds like a reasonable opportunity.
Great, thanks, Tim. Thanks for not letting that go unfinished, so.
Yes, thank you, Tim.
So should we take a vote on that? Well,
I wouldn't hurt, I guess, so offer a resolution to approve the purchase of the mower.
second.
Yeah, second by Tim.
Is it the mower and the tractor or just the mower?
It's a mower and tractor, it's a whole.
It's a
Combination.
whole thing all together.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
Yeah, when it shows up, it's put somebody in and start it and go.
so I'll just say, the wording should be the mower and the tractor for $141,015.
And that's a second.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you.
Thank you. I guess the last thing I have is just kind of what we started out the meeting talking about. So anything on Thomas Road? I mean, I didn't know anything about it until, you know,
Yeah, that's why
I came in.
it just came forward today, so.
I think I think we definitely have to have some serious meetings before, you know, anything happens as far as kind of that whole infrastructure. And I mean, just off the top of my head, I could read off about a million concerns and a million things I have with that, so, again, if you can put my email out or my cell, phone, whatever.
Yeah.
And we'll
I
set.
mean, that Fernando and Leanne were definitely saying that engagement would be critical,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I can imagine that there's so many layers of material that you're gonna be disturbing each one of those
I mean, that,
systems and you're disjoining the current base with this new infrastructure. And so I can see where if you don't do it right, it's really complicated.
it's gonna kind of involve some paving, so we sealed that road up last year with the intent that it would be good for 5 years, so. We're talking blacktop, we're talking kind of if I had to guess, we're gonna be rebuilding kind of some ditches and changing a bunch of stuff around, otherwise this is gonna be a 36-inch culvert to
Yeah, well,
across the road, so.
remember the deadline for the grant is not until next year.
Next year.
August 1st of next
Yeah,
year.
and then the money would be coming in like probably a year later. It's nothing's gonna be happening in the next year, you know, and so there's time for.
So I guess would we
Design and concerns.
Would we kind of know the share on that before it is turned in?
Yes.
Yeah.
We weren't gonna vote on it unless they said that they wouldn't put it in unless they guaranteed.
Clearly, we'll have some kind of an idea of what the structure is. and-
Right,
and space and-
and,
Well,
I think there's
Space is gonna be
There's
required.
gonna be meetings before that even though, before they submit that grant, we're gonna talk to you. Probably more than once, is my sense,
That's what-
and even going and seeing the space with them probably is important too, right?
yeah, site visits, so
Site
he said
visits.
that, so.
Yeah.
yeah, and there's I mean, if you're curious before the meeting, there's the Vermont Moncton Wildlife Crossing. It's on the web. It got pictures and.
It's a video,
Huh?
it's a video.
Yeah. It's a video too.
Well, I was even thinking. If we wanna make sure this lasts.
Yeah.
Us or you need to talk to their public works people and ask questions. You know, how many times have you had to repair it, or how many winters damaged it, or has it ever gotten clogged and you had to fix it? I mean, I'm sure they have that information.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and I think the group will be having those discussions.
Yeah.
So.
And there's just kind of maintenance concerns. You know, for me, I get told a lot that I'm not gonna have to maintain anything. And I can name off a whole handful of parking lots that I have to plow every time it snows because I don't have to do any maintenance. So. It's something that always gets put out there, but it always ends up kind of reversed in the end, so.
Yeah, well, it seems like if you're part of the discussions, then you should be able to get a feel for how much maintenance you would have to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, the grates in the road were interesting to me,
Mhm.
just scientifically and engineer wise, but also like there aren't a lot of grades in roads in this town as far as I know, so this is a new thing.
Yeah, I mean,
There's one right out there in the corner.
No, but in the middle, this is, from what I understand, this is in the middle of the road that people are gonna be driving over and plows are gonna be driving over, and if there's 2 or 3 of them, it's a different kind of infrastructure.
Just think, you'll be
Yep.
part of something new and exciting.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
So, is that good? I do want to move on. It's.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It just, I guess I'm just
Yeah,
kind of reiterating. We're really going to have some kind of
So,
big conversations.
so thank you. I appreciate you engaging on it. So that'll be great.
Bobby, can I just thank you for coming tonight? It's incredibly helpful to have you with us to have these conversations. So thanks a lot. It's really informative, and it just gives us a good, continuation to move forward.
And I just want to say, Baylor Road extension looks great.
Hopefully it kind of stays that way. I mean, kind of made a remark years ago that I hated dirt roads.
Mm.
And that kind of put me on the chopping block with some people, but,
They're so quaint.
just that alone up there, just from the water runoff standpoint. I mean, we fix it every year and it washes the gravel right down Speed Hill. And I fix it again and it washes it down Speed Hill, so.
So you've actually like raised the road up. I mean, so now there's actually,
Yeah, that road
space on the side.
kind of up about 8 inches. So,
Yeah.
There was standing water in that part of the road before, so.
You can rollerblade.
Yeah, well, except it's kind of gravelly.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough. It's
Yeah.
toilet on stones.
Yeah.
Great. Check it out.
Watching them work
I
all
haven't
day
been up
today.
Baylor Way lately, but
Yeah.
check it out. Great, thanks, Bob. All right, Dan's not with us tonight. Yeah. And Brian did say that he would get us a report soon, but apologize for not having something ready today, but he will give us a report soon. So moving on to the business, we've taken care of resolution 1.
Mark, I've just got a little thing to report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot. Committee updates. Go ahead, Jim.
I just want to say that I finally was recontacted by the person in Syracuse from the state DOT regarding Coddington Road.
Mhm.
I'd called to ask them what the appeals process was because they only approved the 45 miles an hour from Meta to Osefsky Road, leaving about a quarter mile, or what is it? Half mile, 55 in the town farther south. And this person was very nice, but she said, well, you could appeal to us after 3 years. And then she said, well, I can explain to you how the determination was made. The person went there and they determined that there was only sufficient density or houses close enough to the road up to Osefsky to warrant a change. And I'm going, well, the issue isn't just, I said, their driveways, the houses might not be on the road, but their driveways that go down into the hollow, all the way down that. I just said to her, I can assure you that there's density, the same density. And then I explained to her that the issue also was with all the truck traffic coming through and that it was, I personally had witnessed how dangerous it was. And she then said, well, maybe if I go down there and next time I'm down there, hopefully I can be down there in the next few weeks or so, I can do a drive-by. If I determine that it's worth reconsidering, then we could consider an appeal after a year.
A year, okay.
So this is what we're dealing with. And it was all very cordial, and she did listen to me, and she kind of bent a little bit. But
She's a subscriber to Good Things Come Slowly.
yeah,
Yeah.
You wait
Well,
long
the,
enough, they'll go away.
maybe by that time the trucks will go away. I mean, I don't know, come on.
Yeah, we won't have trucks anymore. I don't think. But thank you for doing
I
that.
will she did invite me to touch base with her again in a few weeks to see if there's a follow-up.
Great. Thank you for doing that. That's great.
I had an ag committee quick.
Yeah,
I don't know, Monica emailed you, kind of our steps. Did you see that email?
you know, I think it came in, well, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I haven't read it.
So I won't read to what it says right now, but
Okay.
maybe I could suggest that we print it out and put it in the minutes or something. Is that something we can do? So I don't have to
Sure.
take up the time right now. It's
Yeah.
very straightforward. It just says, here's where we're at. Here
Okay,
are some
so you
dates.
sent it to me, but not the
Yeah.
rest of the board?
Yes.
I'll forward it to the board.
Okay.
Her message,
Okay.
and we can put this in the.
That's essentially what I was gonna report, but she beat me to it
Okay,
since I am a liaison.
okay, so it's her timeline for the
Going forward,
process.
yep,
Okay,
and it essentially is it's soon.
well, I noticed there was a lot of printed matter from the ag committee.
It's in the draft form this
So-
week
Okay,
and it's pretty much done.
okay. Great,
So
okay, so.
and it looks really good.
Great.
Hey, is Bobby still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he fell asleep. Oh, no. no.
Still there?
Yeah, go ahead. He's here.
I just wanted to let you know that I've actually heard from 3 different people in the past month or two asking me about the right to farm signs, wanting them to be put up, and I'm hoping that we might be able to accomplish that in very short order now.
Yeah, so I did talk to one of the state supervisors. So I think we're good to get them up here.
It's in
So
process.
we tried kind of overstepping a whole bunch of red tape, so I think he's good with it. We'll talk to him one more time and then we're gonna put them up, but I have some other stuff to work with him on, so.
Great.
We'll get those up.
Great, thanks. The signs are here, right? They're in your.
Yeah, we're getting signs, it was just kind of waiting to get the final.
Yeah.
We can put them here, so we didn't have to change the location.
Yeah.
To get them somewhere else, so.
Great. Great, thanks. Any other committee updates? Okay, so move on to the rest of the agenda. The next resolution is a resolution of negative declaration of environmental impact of the Caroline. Yikes, I didn't change that title. It should be the Caroline subdivision review law. So I'm changing it right now.
Wait, what is this supposed to be?
Yeah, this is a resolution, a negative declaration of environmental impact of the Caroline subdivision review law.
That's what's on my sheet.
Mine says zoning law.
Oh, mine says Caroline subdivision review law.
Wow, how did I do that?
I don't know. Still on vacation?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm trying
Yeah.
to, wow. I printed this from the posted agenda. Anyway,
That's fine. I got it, Mark, it's fine.
okay, thanks, Jesse.
Some of
Betsy
it,
to the rescue.
Yeah,
some of us have the right title, some don't.
but that blows me away. I'm gonna definitely be thinking about this, figure it out, so. Anyway. I won't read through the whole thing if you don't mind.
Please
I
don't.
we did previously look at parts 1 and 2 and the FEF narrative. And I think.
Oh, this one says zoning law. Over here,
The title, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay,
It doesn't say it over here, it says subdivision review law under the agenda.
yeah, okay.
Over here it says.
Then we're good. Then we have the same thing.
All right.
So now I feel better.
All right, good, sure.
That's great.
All right,
So,
sorry.
so I'll read the resolve that the town board hereby declares that adoption of the proposed subdivision review law will not have any potential significant adverse environmental impacts, and that the town board hereby makes a negative declaration regarding the seeker 6 NYCRR Part 617 and authorized filing of such negative declaration. And that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and sign the full environmental assessment form part 3. And that the town board directs the town clerk to file a notice in the environmental notice bulletin according to seeker. Same 6 NYC RR part 617 as required. Did somebody already second this?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Michelle. Any questions or follow-up? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 So that's unanimous.
Did Tim vote?
You're on mute.
He's got his hand up.
I have all kinds of stuff on my screen. I was trying to find the button. Aye.
Great. Thanks, Tim. And that was. And then I'll offer a resolution to adopt the local law to repeal and place the Caroline subdivision review law,
I'll second that.
seconded by Kate. And I'll read the resolve. The Caroline Town Board hereby adopts the Town of Caroline subdivision review law of 2024.
I'm voting.
Are you ready?
Second.
Seconded by Jonathan. Great.
Anyway.
I thought I'd already seconded.
Oh, you,
Okay.
you already
You
got
already
it?
seconded
Okay.
it.
So,
I put my hand at the vote, but.
Okay,
but
sorry. Yeah,
so
it's
that,
really been seconded by now.
Really, it's been second.
Yeah.
okay, so it's thirded. Okay, so. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. We've thought about it a lot, so
We
All
thought
in
about it a
favor?
lot, yes.
all in favor, say aye or raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Great. Okay.
Feels
This,
better.
I will just say that this closes a chapter on 7+ years of planning, zoning and subdivision efforts. So thank you to everyone involved.
Yes. Yeah, thanks to everyone involved. I agree. Not just us, that's for sure. And then I'll offer a resolution for the inclusion of an informational insert with the 2025 tax bills. Resolved as authorized by Real Property Tax Law, Section 922 1D, the Caroline Town Board hereby authorizes the tax collector to include an insert tax bills that provides a summary of the 2025 adopted town budget.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. Discussion? I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Great, thank you. And let's see, I did send out in my supervisor's report, I did send out some budget transfers. Those are $300 from, I took that from the supervisor's contractual, A 1220.4 to A 1480.4, public information contractual.
Hey, Mark,
Yeah,
you skipped on the agenda discussion of 2025 budgeting.
I did, and you know what? I told Michelle today that I don't really have much to add from what I told you before. But you're right, I didn't intentionally skip over that. I did want to. I will be meeting with Municipal Solutions and the Bond Council. And Kate's gonna join me on September 25th. And I will send you the time, and I think it's in the morning.
Okay.
So that will be really important in understanding our fiscal commitments related to the broadband program project. There is also there's an administrative fee that we learned we had to pay for the grant. That's gonna be something over 50% of $89,000, so I'll need to budget for that. Yes, and then I'll just mention that I think I mentioned before, I am gonna budget for additional money for administrative cost share for administration of the broadband program build out. And that's for the Dryden team that's working on this, Amanda and Dave. So Tim, you had a question?
Yeah, I can't remember open meeting law, but since this is just an informational meeting, could we have 3 people go? As deputy supervisor, I'd kind of also like to go to that meeting if it's kosher.
Probably,
I would think.
yeah.
I'd just like to, get a good sense of the whole.
I've been here in the room, yeah, I appreciate, that'd be great, yeah.
Question, the fee you mentioned that we're paying 50% of, is that ultimately gonna be reimbursed
No.
with the grant? So
No,
that's out of pocket,
yeah,
Right now, yeah.
that's new, right?
yeah, we didn't anticipate that. I learned about it, after they'd awarded the grant, but
It's a lot of money.
1% of the grant amount.
Yeah. It wasn't budgeted.
It
Just
hasn't-
saying,
It hasn't been yet, but
okay. You can pay for part of a truck. That's all I'm saying, okay.
Well,
Well,
I mean, I think
it's
we have to
one-
remember that this is a really important public service. And
Right.
so it is part of our efforts to serve the public
absolutely,
across the
absolutely.
public sector. So just to put that into perspective a little bit.
Yeah, it's a legitimate cost, but
So you have some dates where you're gonna have like the workshop meetings or
on the broadband,
no?
And the.
oh,
Yeah,
We normally schedule a couple times
for the
where,
budget,
right.
yeah,
so.
but I know it's always hard to get everybody's schedules to match, so I don't know if I'm just thinking about this too early or.
Yeah, because I usually do that once I introduce it, so I'll be introducing the tentative budget at the end of the month, and usually the first meeting in October, then we set some dates, but, so. Could be a date in October, something like that. So are you, anyway, we can talk privately about if you're.
Yeah, so as long as
constrained.
it's not the first week of October, it's,
What's that?
as long as it's not the first week of October.
Yeah, okay. Yep, great, okay,
So with that, I'm gonna sneak out.
with that,
I'm gonna sneak out. It's been a long, long day.
okay,
Okay.
great, thanks for coming.
Doesn't feel like sleeping in one of those pews, so.
No, they're not conducive to sleep.
Yeah, you need pillows.
I've been on the go since like 4:30, so,
Yeah,
and I haven't even had breakfast yet, so.
Okay.
I'm ready for some dinner.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm glad you got, I didn't even realize that, so, great, see you, Bob.
See ya.
Let's see, did I get through the budget transfers? I
You
didn't,
interrupted yourself, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
So
I interrupted you.
that's,
Ah,
that's okay,
okay.
Tim, so. And I know that Jesse will iron this out, so it'll be like somebody ironed a shirt in the minutes instead of this raggedy presentation here, but $1,000 from town hall equipment, 1620.2 to 1620.41 town hall contractual IT. And then 2,200 from A 1990.4 contingency to A 1620.44. So that's town barn contractual, reserve contractual, so that's because there was a payment to Labella for the town barn project that we just made today. And then $117 from contingency to A 1620.441. That is because of a small expense that came in related to remodeling that one highway barn building that Bob and his crew are working on, so. And did I get a second on this transfer resolution?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Michelle. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Great. And then I will offer a resolution to pay the town bills in the amount of $13,837.87 for A fund, $84,771.46 for DA fund, and streetlight fund, $46.42 because the NICEAG bill hasn't arrived, so only half of them, so. Do you have a second on that?
Seconded.
Seconded by Kate, and I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. And, does anyone have any comments on the minutes of September 4th, 2024? The minutes of September 4th are hereby approved. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have for tonight. Does anyone have anything else? I will offer a motion to adjourn at, I think it's actually 8:59 PM.
I got 8:56.
I got
Oh.
8:56 also.
Oh, good.
Um,
Does anybody want to give a
That's a little
second?
fast.
I'll second.
Michelle Beecham, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, okay. I think that does it for tonight. Thanks, everybody.